Greetings, flesh creatures. It is I, Megatron. On behalf of TFYLP, I want to congratulate you for listening to the most refined collective podcast on this miserable little planet Earth. Yes. Here you'll find knowledgeable fans discussing every aspect of Transformers and beyond. Now, enjoy the show while I continue my path to complete conquest of all of you miserable biological entities. Predacons, terrorize!
Hi, welcome to TFYLP episode 460. We are live tonight. It is Monday, December 13th. I'm Lucas. I am joined tonight by Peter.
Forever Destron.
And Rob.
Are any of us really live? Were any of us alive?
I think so. I'm not really sure. So, and then Paul may be joining us a little later tonight as well. So, hopefully. So,
what are we talking about? Why are we here? What's
sorry, I was like trying to get the chat comments going in here. So, anyway, so this evening we're it's getting into December here, so we figured we'd go ahead and start doing our year-end shows. So this week we are going to kind of discuss some of our favorite news topics and things that happened overall and whatnot for Transformers and third party and all that type of thing this year. And then next week we'll do our top figures of the year. So, and then the week after that we'll be off, and we're gonna do a pre-recorded episode for that and whatnot. So that's that. Peter, you looked very confused.
Keep going.
All right, well, this is an awkward start.
Zaldron wants to talk about why Ghostbusters is better than Star Wars.
It's a better reboot.
So, see,
no
when
spoilers, I haven't seen it yet.
It's good. I like it.
Yeah, just haven't had a chance yet.
When Transformers doesn't meet their HasLab goal, they just extend it. But Star Wars are just like, nah, we don't care.
I don't think it's that they don't care. I just think that with Unicron being one of the first ones, I think they were going to make it no matter what, which honestly I figured the same for Rancor, to be honest. But I don't know. Then again, Cookie Monster, they did a lot of work for Cookie Monster, and it was just into the grave with you.
Well, the Cookie Monster one was just so, like, the numbers were just so low. Like, it wasn't even anything that was going to... Like, you figure the Unicron one, it seemed like kind of once you added in international and all that type of thing, it was gonna get close. But Peter,
keep going.
Yeah. So I don't. I don't know if the Star Wars, if they had the international stuff and whatnot, but like it seemed like it was pretty close to the number as it was. It wasn't only like a few hundred off.
Yeah, it was really close.
It was under 500. It was under 500, and they canceled. They canceled Rancor. Like, we don't have a place for Rancor in our society today. It's
the world coming to.
But the god of nothing can get made, but Rancor itself, anger, doesn't get made. What's that about?
What's the deal with these Rancors? I don't know. I shouldn't have said that. I'm embarrassed for myself and my family. Well, in the news of Transformers, there was another Transformer HasLab that, personally, I didn't bother with it just because I don't buy much, generation style stuff anymore. Peter bought 3 of them, apparently. Either that or he's just talking about Tridents. Maybe a little of both.
I bought 2. The boy bought 1.
But it, from an outsider, outsider-ish, right? It sold a lot more than I thought it would. It was way more popular to the point that, it I wonder if Hasbro's like, they're just going to keep pushing that line, whether or not it makes sense or whatever, just to see what they can get. Because those tiered rewards, even as somebody that wasn't buying it, made me angry. Like, what do you mean it can't come with the signature crap that Star Saber should come with? Why is that shouldn't be a stretch goal? Stretch goals should be bonuses, like niceties, cool extras. They don't have to be anything large if you don't want to, but withholding core pieces I thought was dumb. But all that aside, yeah, and then you didn't get all of it, right?
The shield, the original one didn't come with a shield. The original one didn't use a shield. So that's the masterpiece. Don't look at the masterpiece. The masterpiece has a shield, but that's just because it's a stand. So there's your bonus. There it is. They got you, and they managed to give a minimal redeco for a Micromaster set that didn't sell in the first place. We all win, and no one has the attachment enough to notice that things aren't missing or are missing. Or
I guess I'm so used to the masterpiece that I consider a shield. So you're right on that. Obviously,
it's synonymous now, but
then like the guns for Victory Leo, that was like, why wasn't maybe his sword should have been an unlockable tier? You know what I mean? Like it just
or
felt
the
like
Brain of Courage, or just
the
wings.
Headmaster.
Why
not? But like negativity aside, I thought it was
well. Hey, the
cool that it happened.
The Unicron additional tier stuff is coming soon with that that Galvatron repaint and whatnot. Like a bunch of that stuff, I guarantee you, was going to be part of the like tiers and whatnot for Galvatron, but then never, or not Galvatron, but Unicron, and it never made it. So they're just like, here,
that would make a lot of
this
sense.
Other set, like. So
because the stupid stand has the slots for them and everything.
Right.
But yeah.
Right. So here's my question, Rob. If Star Saber didn't already have a masterpiece or a third party or whatever, like right now you're pretty much covered between official and X-Tran spots for your set.
Correct.
Like, would you have gotten this? Would you have considered this, like, if those did not exist and this was the only representation other than the G1 that you would be able to get?
Probably. Because, like, for the same reason that I don't buy all the Titans, but I've bought several of them because, that's realistically all we're going to get. Yet maybe Fans Toys will finish the rest of Fort Max. If they do, I don't even know if I want it. I got Cerebros because I at least like Cerebros and I think he's cool on his own. But like, do I want, a fucking 6 foot tall, 40-pound transformer that I'm not going to sit on a shelf or on a Billy bookcase? Give me a break. So he's just going to stand in the floor and just block something that he's standing in front of. So I just, But so, all that to say that, if that was the only one, probably, I definitely would have been tempted a lot. So, but I was a little tempted anyways, but I was just like, what? It's like, I'm good. I got G1, right. I got Masterpiece, and just as shelves continue to get full, just that line becomes more and more explicit. I still have plenty of Chug figures or Generations figures. Sorry, Paul, but they're there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm the same way. And, that's part of the reason why I was, I ended up selling that Star Saber to you, because you have another one. You have the
IDW from Planet X.
Yeah. And part of that was like, well, we're going to get an official. And again, like, I don't have infinite space. So
it's so funny. When we talk about Star Saber, I don't even think of the IDW stuff because they're all so their own characters to me, and it's its own display and its own collection that, like, we say, well, what Star Saber figures gonna have that? And you're like, no, IDW Star Saber. Like, oh, to me, it's almost like you say, well, talk to me about Megatron. I'm generally not going to grab the dinosaur unless you say, well, what about Beast Wars Megs? Because he's such a different character, completely different, that it's just the way it's segmented in my brain. Yeah.
So Phil in the comments said that Rob reminded me of one of his favorite moments of 2021, which was when someone shoved a HasLab Unicron in an IKEA shelf. When it was a DTOF.
Yeah.
He fits in a DTOF. There you go. That's all you need.
He did not fit in that detolf. That poor thing was mangled to get in there, but it was pretty funny. I mean, then again, talking about HasLab stuff for the year, Unicron did come out this year, which is
True.
huge news.
Feels like forever.
It does. Every year's a really long year. The past 2 years, aka
and also
decade.
really short. Like you look back and it's like, yeah, we're going into lockdown soon. This is so weird, scary.
It makes a problem for like when we do our top figures of the year, and I'm like, well, shit, which of these came in this year? Like I know what came in last month because it's all still behind me because I've been playing a lot of video games lately, so I haven't had a chance to put stuff on my shelves and organize. You know, so it's yeah, I always have to look and be like, wait, what actually came in? What arrived this year?
A lot of times I have to go like look at, like do some Google hunting and whatnot and figure out like when did this actually come out? Like when did it first release and whatnot? Because I feel like, we get so many figures in general that are around the holiday season as it is. So then it's like
a lot of blurry lines there.
Yeah, exactly. And so it could be something too where it's like you didn't get it until this year, but it came out like at the end of 2020. So
I generally, for at least, our fan shows or whatever, that people can do whatever they want. If you got one really late 2021, and it's after our top 10 show or our top whatever show, it won't be 10, we got too many cast members, but our top whatever show, and you want to talk about it in 2022, you go for it. None of us care that much. It's all good.
Right.
So now that we've had Unicron for a while, how do people feel about it?
I haven't opened him.
One day.
He arrived while I was in the middle of my move, and then I built my fortress of boxes based around him and the other him.
Yeah, mine has been sitting on the floor the whole time. Like, I don't know. I just don't really have a good spot for him, so I think he's always
the
just
box,
gonna be...
or is it? You mean like
no.
on a stand?
He is in robot mode on his stand and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, he looks really impressive. I have not messed with him, like, and that's the thing that I feel like it's kind of tough with figures this big. Is it's like I don't want to transform him back and forth. Like, I don't know that he's ever going back to planet mode for me. And I don't know about you guys. Like, are you ever gonna are you ever gonna be like, all right, let's go ahead and do a project here. Let's go ahead and get this thing back into planet mode.
Mine is in planet mode, but other than that, probably I'm the same as you. I'm probably never going to transform it again. I think the planet mode is by far its better mode. I think it is. I don't know. It's cool in planet mode. It's this big, huge piece, and it looks pretty sweet. Other than the teeth, the maw being the wrong color, which is still stupid on a figure like this. They should have fixed it, but whatever. But that gripe aside, I think it's an actually pretty terrible transformer because it doesn't. It is a shell former and a parts former at the same time, and it doesn't do anything interesting. So I think it's
a Sharts former.
It's a Sharts former. Yeah. All you do is just peel all the shells back, shove them together, and you pop off the head. I think you can keep the head in there if you want. But it's like it comes even, detached.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. So I don't know. I was really unimpressed by it. Other than it's huge. And that is cool. That is a thing that makes stuff cool. And I don't mean that in a derogatory sense. It's cool to have big figures. So that aside, I thought it was pretty disappointing. But it's also exactly what I knew it was going to be, right? Like, it wasn't a surprise. I'm glad we have it, I guess, as opposed to not. But if it hadn't got made, I would have lived. Whatever.
Fancy
None of this matters. None of it matters. So what, Peter?
Fancy Cell or Studio Cell or Cell Studio or Toy World or Zeta or whatever. Unicron was going to come out anyway.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think that Fancy Cell or whatever, it just isn't like it looks nice, but I mean it's somewhat similar to the Titans, like where Make Toys released like this, you know, really awesome Metroplex that is just too small. And so in the Fancy Cell Unicron is kind of the same thing. Whereas like I feel like the official, I mean that's what I feel like they did right, is that it is an impressive looking figure. It like just because of the size of it.
Yeah. Cell's cool in some ways. Like I don't have it, but you know I'm familiar enough with it. I don't know, definitely much more interesting engineering, but I've also heard no one say that they like that engineering. At the same time, different people like it to different degrees. Like Paul thinks it's you know the worst thing ever, and he may be right.
Paul doesn't like Transformers.
Right. I hate them. No, I thought Cell was cool. I have one. I still do. I've never transformed it. I have a Unicron. I've never transformed that either, but I have them in their opposite modes. And the Cell feels like a third-party toy. As soon as I got it, I was like, oh, this is why I don't like this. And it's I can't really put my finger on it, but it's totally the way it feels and the way it sounds and the way it smells. It's like very. I can't even think of the word.
I'm gonna buy you some Cyberverse toys and let you smell them and feel those and see how they sound to you.
I have
plenty
of those.
Cyberverse toys.
Look at this fancy dude I just got.
There you go.
He's very nice. He's authentic.
What's the back?
It
What's
says
the back
so on
of
the
his
box.
legs look like there? Say
It
looked
looked
a little hollow there.
it looked like big powered. Yeah, no shit, Lucas. It's a $10 giant toy for $10.
Oh, that's $10?
Yeah.
There you go.
It's basically a mini Chug.
I take offense to, oh, this is a third party toy, because and hear me out. It's because lots of times there's still this thought in the community, especially from people that don't dabble in third party at all. And I know you do. You know, you got a smattering. But they think, oh, third party toys are brittle or something. They paint it with this broad stroke, and it's like there's a big difference between like fans toys and then like X-Trans bots and then like early KFC, MMC, like DX9, like all those figures are completely distinct touch, feel, like back to Fans Project, even Make Toys, like they all have very distinct feels, both from a plastic feel and an engineering, and like even lots of times even within the line, you know, like X-Transbots had really terrible transformations, then really great ones, and now we're back to terrible. Although I heard their Not Groove was actually pretty good. I haven't messed with it myself, so you know it's like, you know, so even then sometimes they're not consistent. They're just all over the map, and even
I'm sure
you know,
part of it is with their designers too. You know, I mean,
exactly.
Part of it is
Engineers.
the factory, and part of it is the designers. So, I mean, when you're talking about feel, like, I mean, you can totally tell. I mean, a lot of times you can kind of almost tell like which third parties are working with each other and whatnot because they're using the same factory, because you can just tell because the plastic is very similar.
Yeah.
That wasn't meant to be like, all third party sucks. It just it. I don't know how else to say it. It's just like I hadn't opened a new.
You knew
third party
Hasbro
toy.
wouldn't make that toy.
Well, like I have this issue with third party myself, like for my IDW shelf, right? Is I can't mix my MMC stuff with Hasbro because it's too different. Like even there's a couple of them and whatnot. I guess I have the Takara Brainstorm like over there with it, but it's like, I don't know. It's just, there's not that many where it's like, I really want to put them together just because they look different. Like I
think I have like 3 figures from Hasbro on that shelf, and they all stick out like sore thumbs. I leave them, but you know, Ultra Magnus, Skids, Nautica, and Brainstorm, like they really don't fit at all. There's no other Nautica toy, you know.
Yeah.
If I hadn't have already bought
Nautica.
See what you did there. If I hadn't already bought that toy, I probably wouldn't buy it today. But I already have it. I'll just leave it there, you know. So
But yeah,
So-
like the 2021 started off with Studio Series 86. So we started getting the G1ification of Studio Series, which so many people were happy about.
You G1ers, you ruined everything. You took my lovely movie crap ass line and turned it into another G1 love fest where people cherish it and have fond memories and fun toys. God.
I mean, on that note, like the base stuff was pretty exhausted, right? I mean, like there's always more to do, right?
Where are the twins?
Oh no,
Where-
no!
Twins?
If you talk to
Fallen?
Christian and Serge, they will inform you of how many figures were missing from Studio Series.
And
But how many
how-
that either aren't racist or have more than 10 seconds screen time?
We've
and
already gone past the not tropey, not racist, not awful in every way threshold. It's base stuff.
You're already at the bottom of the barrel. That's where you started. The creativity was long emptied out.
Yep. Claw your way out now. Oh, look. 86.
Did we finish Devastator this year?
Yeah.
So that's cool. I have that just because
Yeah.
I don't know. It was a long project. I like things that combine. It is. I'm surprised that toy came out by Hasbro because of the complexity / non-standardness of how that thing combines. Like that's not how Hasbro typically does combiners and hasn't in a long time. You know, I think I mentioned it when we first completed it at one point, but like, you know, you get like a long haul and you're like, oh, well, the truck bed's the foot, or, you know, is the base of his foot when he's in whatever. And so if you take it on, you take a truck and think, oh, you just do this and it's a leg. Nope. It's a bunch of inverting and twisting crap around to be something completely different to make a foot. Like that is surprising to me that it's engineered as detailed, like to the point where, like, I think I needed instructions for it, just because, or you know, or at least pictures, just because I'm just like, I don't know how it's supposed to go. You know, it's not obvious the way other things are. You know, it's like trying to put together Beast Wars or Beast whatever Magnaboss, or you know, Tripedicus or something, when you don't know what the end goal is necessarily, don't have it like fully in mind, like trying to figure out how those go together, because they're all unique. It's a unique combiner that does the way it does its things, you know, as opposed to, you know, Scramble City style or Combiner War style.
Soldron says that Devastator was actually finished in 2020. I don't remember because I didn't get it. So.
No.
I thought it was, but
oh well. Sorry.
Well,
then.
Again, like it was one of those things where all of the stuff hit at the end of. I mean, I just remember last year. Like this year has, you know, there's been a fair amount of stuff hitting in December, but last year it was just absolutely crazy. Like the amount, because I feel like we went through this whole period in 2020 where there was like months and months and months, like where you didn't get anything, and then all of a
it's
sudden,
almost like there was
everything.
a pandemic,
right?
and all
right.
shipping shut down and factories shut down.
Well, we're still dealing with that now, though, with a lot of the shipping stuff. But it's like almost it's an interesting thing because I feel like, you know, you'll see figures at like one retailer like 2 months before everybody else, you know. But it's just completely random. It's like whenever they get their shipment.
I built it in like the 2021.
What's that? Sorry, what'd you say, Peter?
I built Devastator in 2021, and
So
he's the only Studio Series thing I've opened, non-86, and he's fine. He's on my desk at work, and he'll stay there, and people will be like, "Oh, you like those movies? I saw those movies in theaters," and be like, "I don't like that thing."
Don't talk to me. Keep walking.
Shut your mouth.
But that's usually the default anyway. I feel like anytime you say, "Oh, I like Transformers," and they're like, "Oh, those movies were great," I'm like, "No."
It seemed like Studio Series 86 was indeed a big hit, but they also did, I don't know. It's so typical at this point. Like it shouldn't be a surprise, yet every time it happens, it still pisses people off. Even me when I'm not even buying the stuff. But here's, you know, the Studio Series. The idea is to be accurate and this and that. So let's put out something that's just a little not accurate, and then later on we'll reissue it and fucking buzzworthy Bumblebee with the paint, at least a closer paint scheme that people wanted, in the first place. But
I keep talking about it, that incremental improvement. They keep you on the hook. Everyone's like, we don't know when they'll do Cup again. We've all better buy Cup. We all bought Cup. And then Cup hit full saturation about 2 months ago, at least in my area. Like suddenly there's cups and blurs everywhere, jazzes, and everyone ran out. Finally, the thing I missed in January, not me, but a lot of people ran out and got those cups. And then last week, here's an accurate cup. Have fun. Target exclusive. Enjoy.
I don't know. Those gripes aside, it seems like though it's been a pretty big hit. It sounds like, are they going to finish all the Dinobots, in that scale and size of of what they started? It sounds like they're at least trying. Or are they going to get 3 in and
I would
bail on it?
assume they're gonna. I mean, those are pretty big sellers. It seems like so.
I think it'd be silly not to complete them.
Just like a bunch of Micromaster sets.
Well, yeah.
Well, the other thing I would say too is like they're. To me, I feel like they're actually having trouble trying to figure out like what to put out at the leader price point. So like they can actually put out some like leader size figures. Like since they're trying to do it as accurate, scale accurate and whatnot, so then everyone's complaining because like certain figures that are not leader class size, but then they might have more parts count. But or they can just throw a throne with it, with a Voyager they already released and call it a day.
Hey, he's got fingers now.
Studio Series, they're also using it now for like the Bumblebee G1, the Bumblebee movie where they were on G1. We got a wave of those coming out. So I don't know. They're doing cool stuff with the line, but yeah, they're going to have to keep trying to find new places to dig into, or just keep repainting stuff.
Well, that's the thing where people were complaining about the Studio Series 86. You're like, oh, you're getting into my line. It's like, okay, well now they're releasing stuff that like wasn't even really in the movies. Like it was in, like whatever, couple minutes of the last Bumblebee movie and whatnot, which I mean, I think is really neat. Like I wish that those designs that they're coming out with were like always the Bay designs. Like where it was like a little bit G1, but then it's this, funky Cybertronian, whatever. And the same way too with Siege, where it's like, it wasn't Cybertronian enough. Like it wasn't funky enough. It's just kind of like a
wasted opportunity.
Yeah.
That's what that was.
So yeah. So
go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I'm not sure. I haven't decided yet whether or not I'm going to get those figures. But are you guys? I mean, Peter, I shouldn't even ask you, but like the rest of you guys, are you in for those 2 series Bumblebee movie figures?
Normally, I would be, because it's a little different. Not much is going on, but realistically, at this point, no. I'm still part of the reason why I have like the past 6 weeks of stuff still on my desk is because I don't have space. And I got to go through it and like call some stuff, and I don't feel like it. I've been playing video games lately. Like I need to make a room for some new Ninja Turtle stuff in particular, and I just want that a lot more. It's which do I want more, and it's I'd rather have that. So I think they look neat. Yeah. I think it's cool that they're happening. I wish I had space for it, because I probably would buy them.
I mean, I don't collect Brawn, Wheeljack, or Ratchet, so I won't be buying them. But I do collect the entire Studio Series line, mint and sealed box, so I'll get at least one of each one. So for the bin life.
So now, Paul, do you foresee yourself like 10 years down the road throwing those up? Because didn't you do that with? Was it animated? What was the
Prime?
Or Prime?
Prime and animated.
Prime.
Yeah, I mean, I really shouldn't have done it when I did it, but I decided to sell those. Yeah, but I got top dollar, so it's all good because they're all mint and sealed. I mean, they were pristine. they had never left the bin. They'd never gone far from their home.
Factory fresh.
Pretty
Almost.
much, yeah. What's funny though is when you sell stuff like that, it's amazing how once you ship it to someone, they're like, there's a ding in the 1.5 inch up from the left side, right? On this that was not displayed. I'm just like, eat shit, bro. Like, it's still as good as it's gonna get.
I've whenever people ask me like pretty much anything on eBay, well, my first instinct is, what, I should just block them.
Yeah, 100%.
But what I've started doing is like, hey, you know what? I've taken a bunch of pictures. I've noted what is notable to me, but I was like, but if you're particular, you should buy stuff in person. Do not buy it on the internet.
Yep.
I was like, it's as is. And I have, knock on wood, I haven't had any issues. A lot of times those people went on and bought it and they're fine. I've had some people that are like, they message me, hey, does it have any scratches? And then like 10 minutes later, they buy it before I have a chance to respond. So then I respond. I'm like, hey, like, I noticed this one spot here. You can kind of see it in the picture. I tried to, whatever. And they're just like, nah, man, it's mine now. I want it. Okay, cool. So people are weird.
Dangerous thing on eBay is that all someone has to do is say not as described. It doesn't matter. Like, doesn't, it's like the scarlet fucking letter. It doesn't matter if it's true, a lie, or an exaggeration.
I think if a buyer does that a bunch, I'm sure eBay will probably take action against their account, but you can always just make another account. And if you're the seller, it fucks you a lot more, as opposed to a buyer that can just keep kind of rotating accounts and ripping people off. But
certainly,
but at the same point, I've never worried about buying something for China that seemed a little too good to be true. Like, if it's just a little too good to be true, sometimes it comes through, and then sometimes it's a scam. But eBay, you'll get your money back, So, is what it is. It's better than buying from a Sears catalog once a year. So that's how I used to get stuff.
The good old days when you get. I don't think I ever actually got anything from a Sears catalog, but
When we lived in Alaska, that's how we ordered that's how my parents ordered for all of our junk for Christmas, was through the catalogs.
That's how one of my grandmothers got my Christmas gifts.
Literally the internet, before the internet. Exactly. Same thing.
That's why I brought it up.
F.
It's gotten better overall.
So, weird thing about those Bumblebee Studio Series toys, I see a lot of people like glazing over the fact that they're from the Bumblebee movie and just being like, oh yeah, Cybertron Braun, this is what I wanted in Siege. And I'm like, okay. I mean, because
that's what Lucas pretty much just said.
Right. But I don't get it, because it is very sure they're in the movie for a second, but that's better than not being in the movie at all. Like, that is a spitting image of what was on the screen. That I know we're going to see check out my collection photos all over the internet next year of like Warp for Cybertron toys with those Studio Series toys. Like, look at my Arc Crew, like
no doubt.
I know it happens already, but like, how can you mix those? How can
people mix and match? People, they don't care about line integrity. They just want the badass representation of character Z.
Well, maybe we can get Anna on the horn and ask her.
Anna, what's wrong in your head? What? Please, we want to know. Or what's wrong with my head?
I was gonna say, I feel like it's probably better to do that anyway, because you could be like me, where you're like, oh, I need to check all the boxes, and then I don't have the one box checked, and so I have to have it even though I don't want it, but it checks the box. I don't know if anyone else collects that.
I feel with stuff like, the Bumblebee movie toys, the Cybertron era. I mean, to me, I think it's two birds with one stone. I think that would have been better if they'd released them in Siege, or done the the episode 1, done those characters, the OG series, G1 episode 1 modes, like they eventually did with Bumblebee in a completely different line. But again, thank you, Christian, for hooking me up with that. Don't know. I just felt like Siege could have done 2 or 3 other things differently, and I don't know. I don't know why people wouldn't throw it with their art crew if that's how they want it to be. It's probably the best pre-Earth modes that you got at the moment. Like, sure, they're definitely the Bumblebee movie versions, obviously, but it works. Where's your other pre-Earth Brawn toy? You know,
he didn't appear on screen pre-Earth, so he doesn't exist, so he shouldn't be in your pre-Earth art crew. Gall.
Yeah.
Gosh.
100%. I agree with Angry Nerd Guy. Who is
so overall, it sounded like though the Studio Series was a pretty big hit with everyone this year. Like overall, like good stuff.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Even the movie stuff, like I'm not a big Bay fan, but the toys that I saw, I mean, I bought everything that came out. It all looks fine, and for those who are into that sort of thing, it looks like it scratched an itch, and everyone was happy with their Jolt and their side swipes and their whatevers.
So,
we got the Ferrari this year too.
Yeah, we got Dino.
Not just a crappy repaint this time.
Mm-hmm. We got an actual Enzo whatever Dino guy, the dude from Platoon. He was voiced by the dude from Platoon at the end of the movie who went like "Rah!" and thumped on his chest. He's the son of some other actor, and he died right after the movie came out. Died right after Dark of the Moon came out. Heart attack. Just so we're all, I forget his name.
So how was the main line for people this year? I bought so little, if anything.
It's great.
I feel like it's the opposite for me. I mean, it's just, there's just so much stuff coming out, so many boxes that you're checking and whatnot. I mean, and in all of it, they're reprising a lot of the line, but I mean, for the most part, everything is much better than what we've ever had before,
I have, and I know I mentioned this on the show, like when we had Christian on and we were talking about a round of leaks, but the amount of leaks this year has felt overwhelming. Like just a ridiculous amount of constant leaks, most of them correct, except for like recently we learned some were purposely leaked incorrectly just to troll everyone. So, welcome to the internet. But yeah, just seemed like there's a combination of some stuff we know about forever because we see listings or some other leak, and then some stuff that it's like, oh, hey, here's something on selects that you can order today and will ship in 3 days that people didn't hear about. And then like, oh, here's this showing up on Amazon. Some stuff gets announced by Hasbro. Some other stuff just pops up, and just the internet spreads it. It felt like if I was still buying all the Hasbro stuff, it would have been extremely chaotic and probably a bit stressful.
Oh, I mean, there's so much stuff that I literally forget about, because, there's been, again, a lot of delays and whatnot. And, you're like, oh, like, what were the Shattered Glass figures that still need to come out again? Like, I can't remember. But, like, there's just so much stuff where, I don't know, it's like every few days that we get a new hit of, like, here's the new leak, here's the new figure, here's the new, like, whatever it may be, that you almost kind of forget about, like, some of that stuff that, whatever was leaked a few months ago. And then you're like, oh, here, I guess I need to buy this now. Or like, I pre-ordered this and then I realized now it's coming.
You pretty much nailed it. It's almost weekly now, whether it's from Hasbro, and both of you nailed it, whether it's from Hasbro or some other source where it's a weekly like dopamine fix of here's the thing, chase the thing, and you're like, ooh, and everyone runs and chases the thing, and then we chase the next thing because we've pre-ordered that. It's good. It's solid. Whether the dates shift or whatever, we've secured the thing. They've just announced the thing. This must be how Star Wars people felt for the last 45 years. I don't know. I feel used. I feel like a whore.
Well, it's interesting when the dopamine hit is a real thing, and when the leaks happen and it's not up for pre-order anywhere, that's not good for business.
You don't get your fix. Yeah. So you go shopping on Amazon to buy something else.
Because people go looking for the string of the item that is not for pre-order many places, and then they buy it no matter what it costs because it gets done, and then they forget about it. Just like you're saying, Lucas.
Till it shows up later, and they're like, "Oh, I did order this." Okay.
Yeah. It's they're perfecting it. And I think these leaks mess it up, like at least from like a strategy perspective. But it's I just don't understand why they haven't perfected it yet, because they keep forgetting to like reveal things.
Right.
Or they do it on a Saturday on Twitter or something. You know, like, oh yeah, here's Grindor. You guys know what Grindor is? And it comes with this little Ravage. And it's like everyone knew it was coming, but like, I don't know, that was really frustrating. I hope it seems like it should be so easy to lock down, but it's not.
There's too many, like, modern business these days. It's a lot of gig economy, and so much of getting a product out is outsourced and contractors for all the little bits and bobs and stuff that, like, you're not all like Team Hasbro working on a product together, and you all are everyone's focused together on like making a big splash with everything they're doing. And it's like no, you're hiring artists from random spots, a copy editor from a random spot. Somewhere else is printing your packages. Somewhere else is printing your instructions or whatever, right? And then obviously factories in completely different countries are producing your toys. None of these people have any loyalty to you, and you don't have, not like Hasbro has loyalty to them either. They're going to write them a paycheck if somebody else comes and does it cheaper. Then the next day they'll be using someone else instead. Like there's, not that I think necessarily corporations need loyalty in the first place, but I don't know. People know about your robot toys earlier, I guess. Maybe it does have some business impact, like you're saying, Paul, but I don't know.
Well,
That's how she goes.
I'm just saying, I happen to know a lot about immediate, fast-moving consumer goods on a hyperscale, and the first time someone sees something is the time they are most likely to decide to buy it.
You don't want them to think about it.
Within the first 10 seconds, they will make their decision. And if you don't make it, if they are unable to do so, they will forget about it. And so then when you're like, oh, it's ready, it's available now, they're like, oh, I already bought new thing, like Peter says. Like, oh, I already saw that before and I've changed my mind, or I don't care anymore because you have a repaint.
I would love to talk to the people that organize like the fan first whatevers, just because like sometimes I get it, they're not ready or whatever, and stuff gets leaked, they can't control that. But there have been times when they had the audience and they talk about some stuff, and then like literally the next day or the day after, it goes for listing on Hasbro Pulse or Amazon. It's something completely different that they literally just had the chance to talk about and they didn't. And I'm not the type that's like, oh, that's dumb, they should be fired. I'm the type that's more like, I don't work in your job. I'm not in your shoes. I don't know what your day-to-day is like. I'm just curious to like, are you just like, man, we just can't keep track of it all? That shit happened so far. And it's like, are they so far removed, or are they just like, man, it's just bungled. We pick a few things to talk about.
Again, is just like things that we don't even think about, just like that the back end pages aren't ready, to put the pre-orders up, or that legal had to sign off on something, or just whatever, just something stupid, like, or not. It's not stupid. It's just the way business is.
Trivial.
That for us, like we don't think about that kind of stuff, but that it's like important to them. So like I could see something like, well, they whatever wasn't finished, like they scheduled it for this date, it wasn't finished, so they couldn't talk about it by then, and that's the reason why it goes up 2 days later is because then it was ready, and so here you go, here's your thing. So
my guess is that they probably have to prepare those, at least a general outline. They're not reading a script. Like they are definitely,
but they got a schedule. They have an outline.
But yeah, they must have an outline, and they probably have to get that approved by legal, and that probably takes 2 weeks. So they got to be prepared. There's a deadline by when they got to submit that, and then it's probably a lot fast. The Hasbro Pulse team is not like in cahoots 100% with like the brand team. They're like kind of separated. And then they're probably like on a schedule of their own, putting the stuff up. They have the assets, they have the price, they know all the shit. Okay, well, we're putting this up next Thursday because we're ready. And those things, just again, those things are not in sync, just like the toy releases and the in the media.
But
Corporations are hard to deal with.
Right. And again, like you see it with, especially if they're working with Amazon and Walmart and Target and whatnot, those guys to actually get their like listings up, like it's easy for them to send something like, whatever, Big Bad Toy Store or the online retailers and whatnot. Like they have stuff ready to go and will just put it up as soon as they can. But it's like, it's not like that Amazon or Walmart cares. And I know that we had a lot of issues with that just in general with like Walmart, where it's like, oh, listings are going to go up, and then they don't.
Yeah.
Speaking of retailers, I thought of something to ask. Like, at this point, we've been in this post Toys R Us like entire subline at a retailer exclusive thing at multiple retailers. Who gets the best exclusives at this point? Who do you think?
Amazon.
That was going to be my answer, was Amazon.
I'm going to say Pulse just because of the Select stuff. If anything interests me, it's usually something from Selects. Not always.
Those are not exclusive.
Yeah.
I thought they had stuff that you couldn't get elsewhere. Is that no?
They do have some.
Most
like
all of
Black
it you
Zarek.
can get at online retailers. Yeah, there's a big couple.
Black Zarek is not an exclusive either. Generation Selects are never exclusives. But like the reformat Galvatron and the Ravage and the Pack, those were like PulseCon things. So like those are Pulse exclusives, and there are a few other ones, but actually most items on Pulse are not exclusive.
I don't know. I mean, like looking at it, I feel like that Hasbro's done a pretty good job of like rotating around. Because I mean, you can think of like some of the like Netflix line and whatnot that Walmart has. Like they got the Bumblebee and Soundwave and whatnot that are pretty major characters and whatnot. But then Target has had, with the Coneheads and some of their different ones. And then Amazon. I would agree with you. I think Amazon probably overall has the highest volume of good exclusives. But it seems like they do a pretty good job of getting them mixed around.
I know the only one I don't hate buying is when Pulse does stuff, or even if they just list it first or whatever, but is Amazon, because the Amazon one seems to have, other than Pulse, the next lowest chance of actually being canceled. So, you're most likely to actually get it. And Amazon also has, buying, ordering, managing your order, looking at your order history, payment, shipping notices, all that crap down to beyond a science. It's more of an industry that they've perfected. And so it's very reliable. It's very well known, very good tools. I mean, Pobody's nerfed. You say that and somebody's like, Amazon did this to me once. It's like, okay, you're one out of like a million things that shipped that day. Like 5 got lost. Like that's insane. That's extremely good. So like as opposed to Target, where it's probably not going to go in stock online in the first place. Walmart is a fucking crapshoot. It'll be blank listings that you'll just have to blindly order and hope that it shows up, and it'll get canceled anyways. It doesn't matter. Like Amazon seems pretty reliable.
I don't know. I will say that it hasn't happened for me for Transformers figures, but I've had some other stuff. Like when I was collecting Marvel Legends, I think I had a figure that like they canceled my pre-order for whatever reason. But I know we've all had this happen at all of the major retailers where, what you've pre-ordered it and then they decided to cancel it for God knows why.
I've had that happen more with Target than with anybody else. And it's madness because they never really had it in stock online to begin with. It's a crapshoot whether or when you'll find it in the store. It's regional. I get it. Some places just have them rotting on the store shelves and they go out to clearance, whatever. But some places are in forever drought. So, but yeah, Target's the most frustrating for me.
I kind of was posing the question more from just like the toy.
Yeah,
the grouping, all these points are valid. These are all. This is actually great. It's like the pros and cons of each of these retailers. But I think I agree with Peter on Amazon because I just feel like they kind of have their own. They're playing ball with Hasbro pretty strongly, and I think they are probably ordering less exclusives in a higher quantity Like it's more concentrated. It's not like Netflix. It's not like Walmart where it's like here's a whole wave of stuff. Like
Crap.
each item is part of a bigger whole there, and they rebrand it, to be special. And like they've done it with Galactic Odyssey, Battle Across Time collection. There were 2 packs, and now we got this whole golden disc thing, which I think is actually pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Except
Jackpot.
I wish all the boxes fit. Like
That, whatever. Jackpot, Pterosaur,
one job.
Tigatron. It's all it's wonderful. They've hit a lot of really good notes, whereas Walmart got primal in slightly more primally colors and spoiler packs.
And the Beast Wars reissues that have been hit or miss and kind of iffy. Well, those were up on Pulse as well, though, weren't they? The Beast Wars reissues.
Yeah, I think.
They're in the
Pulse
park section
now has actually put almost a lot of the exclusives up. Not all of them, but
it's
lot
that
of them
partner
up.
section.
Yeah. So, but
I guess
and everyone
I feel like
has really loved Jackpot, Peter. That's been their favorite figure. They really love the head on Jackpot.
Still the only one I bought.
I'm not gonna hate on it. I'm not thrilled that the head is misaligned. I'm not thrilled that the chest is just jazz. I get it. But I have a transforming Generation 1 style Jackpot that I can throw on my 1990 Chug shelf, and I love it.
I think the folks, whoever the buyers are, the strategists, if you want to call them that, at Amazon, I feel like they care about what they're selling. And Target seems to care about what they're selling too, but Walmart definitely does not. Walmart just says, "Oh, what do you got? What's coming out of the plastic pipes, man? Like give it to me." Although we'll see with this legacy stuff because it seems like it's a little more in line with what's happening at Target and Amazon because it seems themed. If you read the leaks, it's supposed to be like a Velocity set or something. So I don't know. Maybe they're up in their game.
So speaking of Walmart exclusives, we got to talk about the best stuff to come out of 2021. More Red figures. So this is year 2. This is year 2 of Red.
Sorry, we can't see that, Paul. It
doesn't work at all.
It's blending into your background, dude.
You literally completely disappeared for a minute.
It's the same thing as the background.
Yeah, we know, but
get the joke. So
no.
It's year 2 of Red, and I feel like already no one gives a crap about that line at all, even if the figures are good. Like I thought Knockout looked kind of interesting, but I'm not going to buy it.
2022, dog. That's next
year. Yeah, he's not even. Yeah. Did anybody buy any Red figures?
I'm shocked that this line is continuing, to be honest.
Hey, don't knock it, man. It's pretty good. I thought the Bumblebee that came out this year looked completely redonkulous in the box. I mean, it does. It looks like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Bee. But when you take him out, he's kind of cool. He's kind of a cool figure. He doesn't scale well with much, but it's like a pretty good Bumblebee that doesn't transform.
It feels stupid to me that Hasbro, the people that have owned Transformers forever, and Hasbro, the company that has runaway success with Marvel Legends and Star Wars Black Series, can't do really impressive Transformer action figures, that don't transform. We're over that discussion, but it just feels like they should be a lot better than they are, given what's going into it. But it kind of reminds me of like the Titanium line, where it's like, oh, those were done by Galoob. You know what I mean? That's why they kind of like missed the mark. This feels like they got the intern to handle some aspects. Like I don't think the one I have isn't complete garbage. I got Soundwave just to have one from the line, and he has a little tiny Ravage, so I thought that was neat. It's not the worst or anything like that, but like it doesn't blow me away. I feel like it should blow me away.
I feel like the Red figures, like if we didn't have a concurrent main line that arguably looks better than the Red figures, I think that they would go over better. Like I think that if it was the only thing, you'd be like, oh, sweet, like a G1 Megatron or Optimus or whatever it is. So, but
remember the PVC line from like 15 years ago or whatever? Like, I had all of those. I don't know why, but I had them
like,
all.
dude, I remember I was buying Hero Mashers like when that was coming out. So, you know, Ron says he has all the red figures. So he said thanks for listening. I'm admitting I have a problem. So there you go.
Do we need a Transformers Red Anonymous?
Right, exactly. Peter can be in the group, right?
Yeah, I went to AA for years.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to
I
toys.
meant about the red figures is what I'm talking about. I'm assuming you have a case of red figures, and you have a red tote.
I have a red tote. It falls in line with my larger generations tote thematically for the year. But yeah, I have a couple of cases. All my cases conveniently have no home written on them, just like all my Beast Wars reissue cases have no home written on them because Walmart couldn't be bothered to do the planogram correctly. So they just kind of flex them in wherever. At my local Walmart, they suck. They're the worst. Everything's no home, but then they leave the cases sitting out and then just cram the figures on the shelves. Nothing gets backstocked. Everything looks like a disaster area. And even though the cases are intact, the cards and the boxes are all smashed. I don't get it. Walmart's a shit show. What are we talking about? I have a case of red.
Oh, so Phil also mentioned too about the fact that the Super 7 Transformers that those got announced as well, and I feel like red has kind of taken the air out of those figures because again, it was one of those things where I'm like, why do I want to pay the the money for for those, but they are doing some cool stuff. But
there's definitely there should be a quality step up with the Super 7 figures. So
they'll be nicer than red, but they're not going to be and I buy a lot of Super 7 stuff from Ninja Turtles and some Motu Classics, their cartoon line, and I don't even care about He-Man. I just thought they looked cool. The figures aren't crap by any means, but they're probably not what people expect, and I think Transformer fans that did buy it are going to scream about how they're not perfect, because they're not going to be perfect. Oh, and Super 7's customer service is trashed here. I'll warn everybody now. Brian Flynn will go on to podcasts and have interviews. He's like, hey, if there's a problem, you just email us and we'll set you up or whatever. That's not the case. You're going to get ignored. You're going to pester. They're going to lie to you. And they're going to say they're going to get back. They just need to go ask a question. They will not. You're going to have to keep nag. And basically it'll go from 2 months from, hey, we'll get your replacement part to, we're not going to replace it. Tough. And it'll take 2 months for them to finally, tell you to fuck off. So I'm just going to go ahead and warn you of that.
In business.
Oh yeah, they still are, because that just is how it is. But
because they got that Misfits license.
It's still gonna.
Isn't it ironic that
don't you think
potentially the best customer service for replacement parts is with third-party Transformers?
Again, you can't say all third party. Some of them are trashed here.
Not all of them, but
not all of them.
X-Transbots, and
Fans
Toys, honestly,
KFC,
both.
and Fans Toys, and MMC are all very good. I think iGear was good back in the day when it was around. I feel like I heard that they were pretty approachable. A lot of the ones that are still around, honestly, are pretty good. Like some of the ones that kind of came and went, maybe not so much, and that's part of the reason why. But no, I feel like Super 7 took the wind out of their own sails just because they have always been priced like niche boutique prices, and that hasn't changed. And they were one of the first retailers to react to the pandemic increasing costs, and so I think that hit people first before a lot of other places have, and they're just like, whoa, why is this red sized figure with a bunch of extra accessories like $55? And it's a valid question. And when they get it in hand, the fact that it's not going to be like a Sola Chogokin figure, I think is going to be like, oh wait, this is still made of plastic. Yeah. Like all these joints are a little loose. Yeah. It's still going to be a mass produced toy.
There needs to be a certain amount, to your point, of level setting. Fans need to get over that anyway. We all, I think, have fallen into that trap of it's going to be perfect, it's going to be awesome, and then we're all let down and just like raging at the clouds. It's a Go ahead.
So Super 7, they have 2 waves of Transformers out for the Ultimates line, and we know they've had other ad hoc Transformer stuff.
I thought they have 3 waves now that they've announced.
The 3rd wave's announced with the Prime Alligator and Tarn with Nickel.
I thought that was wave 2.
It's wave 3.
Okay, I may have just been completely ignored. Okay, then that actually gets to my point. I was like, because I've went through this with them launching other lines, especially the Ninja Turtle line, like you will probably be ordering wave 4 before wave 1 is in your hands. And that drives people insane, but it's also nothing is easier to order than Super 7. They give you set like a whole month to order as much as you want, and it's all made to order, and that's just the lead time to get stuff. That's the real world. People are like, oh, why can't I get it? Well, that's like because somebody had to make a decision on how many to have made, over a year ago, and they made that decision and it's sold out. Because everything is, seems to sell out or it's a shelf warmer. You don't want to be the guy building shelf warmers, So the other aspect is Super 7 makes everything to order, but that means you got to wait year and a half before you get anything. And it really does suck when you've got 4 waves ordered and the first one comes in, and if it's not for you, you're just like, well, shit. Which on the positive side, Super 7 works with Big Bag Toy Store.
Right.
So who you can easily cancel from. Super 7, I don't know if it's so easy to cancel from. I haven't tried. But if my experience with customer service is anything to go with, I wouldn't count on it.
They might ship it before they cancel your order, is what you're saying?
I think they'll cancel your emails and just charge you extra. Like, I thought NECA's customer service was bad, and I don't know, they at least gave me like $5 or $10 back or something. And they responded timely at least. I don't know, but different levels of shit. I don't know. Do we think Red's going to live past 2022?
No.
There's a good amount of stuff supposed to be coming, like at least a whole year's worth. Most of it's prime toys, though.
I think that it will live to 22 or through 2022 at least, just because the movie got delayed, and I feel like that they need product to put on shelves, and so there'll be a spot for it. But until I think that once the movie comes out, like that'll get replaced. I think unless
I think Walmart decides, not really Hasbro.
True.
If that continues, as long as Walmart's like, sure. As long as Walmart's still like, what you got? It'll still come.
That is true.
And by the way, I know I'm moving us along on topics because I made a list.
Look at you.
So just want to go ahead and real quick, like, rest in peace, BotBots. I've been saying for a while that they're going to be dead. They are totally dead. Except they're still like a movie and a show. I know Christian saw something on somebody's desktop or something, but we're not seeing is actually any toys on the shelves. At least that I've heard about. I don't follow. I just like to throw shade.
I got the Gold Rush games, the whole set, at Dollar Tree this year before they jacked their prices up to $1.25. I might add.
They did.
Yeah. And
$1.25 tree.
$1.25 tree. And people in line in front of me had to go buy something the other day. And literally every person in line in front of me was like, why is everything $1.25? You're going to change your name?
Hey, there's no price on this one. Is it free?
I would say, hey, what do trees do? They grow.
I heard money doesn't grow from trees. A lot growing up. What's your game here, Dollar Tree? Huh? What are you getting at? Call my parents liars? Piece of crap corporation. So
speaking of piece of crap corporations, I don't have a finish to that. Just let it hang.
All right.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like BotBots, it seems like they have a movie and whatnot. I don't think that, like, if it's revitalized and whatnot, it's going to run as long as the original went, but I don't know. I mean, I could see...
Don't count it out.
This
Right.
is going to be a problem because it's going to be one of those things that could possibly be one of those things where we have a show or a movie or a special or whatever, and there's no product on shelves, and it's like no
Hasbro has
product.
done that.
They've done that with Transformers multiple times. They've done it with Star Wars. They've done it with G.I. Joe. And look at all these thriving things. The Star Wars section is huge and booming, and everyone's buying all the HasLabs of stuff. Oh. Hey, Sky Striker did the thing, sort of.
So if we move on for toys, for a 2021 year in review, Transformers Media.
Woo.
Cyberverse.
Yeah.
Y'all liked the new movie that was out. I remember listening to that episode. Everybody seemed to be pretty big on that. That it was cool and fun. If you like cool, fun things.
Yep. Absolutely. That's how you describe it. It's cool and fun.
So we have comics. No one likes them, and they're getting canceled and sold to Image and probably the Skybound imprint, I think, is the latest rumor.
Mm-hmm. It's that Kirkman dude, Walking Dead dude.
So like, comics, IDW comics are dead. I mean, that's a pretty big deal, just because they've been around. They've had that for a long time through 2 continuities.
It's not officially announced yet, so
is it still not?
This is all still rumors.
Okay.
Rumors, but I mean, it's pretty. If you just look at the sales numbers, right? So the sales numbers from before, when they rebooted and whatnot, were not great, and the numbers now are even worse. So it's 25% worse or so than what it was a few years ago. And a few years ago, they weren't happy with the numbers, so I don't know.
They went from the writers and artists and stuff winning awards and not being happy with the sales numbers then to replacing all of them and making it worse, and then being surprised and still unhappy when things got worse.
I mean, I wonder how giving it to Image is going to do. So my experience with that is still when Ninja Turtles went to Image and they immediately disfigured everybody. So,
yeah.
I'm basically waiting for that.
Splinter's a bat.
Yeah. And they had plot reasons for that. They wanted to get rid of Splinter so that the turtles wouldn't keep running to him or whatever. But and they were just trying to make interesting stories. And it started off a little too 90s extreme, but I ended up, I think it was a pretty good run. But IDW also started reprinting that in color, and they were like, we're going to finish it. And then they dropped it because the Image never got finished.
Right.
And there's a fan comic that does 2 more issues of it that wraps up and actually makes it lead into volume 4, which was back to the original owners who totally chopped out volume 3. He hated it because he didn't write it. But, they did some cool stuff. So I wonder, my understanding is that just didn't happen. I didn't follow it that much, but that IDW just dropped that too. So it seems like IDW is just not doing great with what comics are.
I'm excited to get a complete reboot and to see what they would do. I'm interested because I don't know. I do feel like some of the storylines have gotten a little bit stale, some of the tropes and whatnot. I mean, I think that IDW several years ago was a breath of fresh air, for a lot of us and whatnot. But then with their stuff, some of the things that they've tried to do recently just has not worked for me personally. So I'll be excited to see what the new thing is whenever that comes out. But then that won't even be out till probably 2023. So
I hope they do something like how IDW started with Infiltration, where they kind of took a modern take on the core concept of the robots in disguise. And, to do that, you have to have some human characters. Sorry, everybody. But, that was just kind of cool how they focused on why they would be in disguise, instead of just invading. And I liked that story progression, because at some point they blow their cover and it all fit into this cool, when Six Shot shows up, I don't know, that all felt kind of fresh to me. It was still the tried and true stuff, but it tried to almost make it realistic in a way conceptually. I mean,
so it grew
up.
Do
do something like that.
It matured along with the the audience, because we're obviously all a lot older, and they were still marketing to us.
Yeah. So will they continue to market to us, or will it be like, hey, let's skew younger?
Where I would disagree with you, Paul, is I want them to do something that we haven't seen. Like I've gotten to where, again, I don't know, just being an old man Simmons, I feel like everything I've seen and done before to some degree, and it just makes me lose interest really quick, or just not even start. So if you're going to go to Image and, go to this imprint, like it could be a cool time to try really radical stuff, which, it could be the new Beast Wars, right? Or it could be the new Bay. like you don't know how it's going to go. It could completely flop because they are missing something core that's hard to like verbalize, and it just completely falls apart. Or they could be something like, man, give it 2 or 3 issues and come around and like you get a really cool story with characters that we love.
What I do love is like we mentioned Bay like as a bad word and whatnot, right? Like,
well, Surge isn't here, we can get away with it.
It's like they would be ecstatic if it had the success of what Michael Bay's done with Transformers. Like I mean, multi-billion-dollar franchise.
We've mentioned that before, though. That's what Hasbro keeps wanting to get is another billion-dollar movie out of Transformers, and they keep cutting costs and reducing this and that. The toys are selling great, but the media is just by and large abysmal and has been for a while.
Marvel has like the biggest movie franchise on the planet, and DC has some of the most classic characters known ever. And I have heard nothing but how DC and Marvel have been struggling in the comic industry for like a decade, or since the 90s boom, to be real. Like everything has struggled in the comics industry to the point where I keep being surprised they still exist. So maybe their expectations are just way off. When like even it's not like Marvel and DC are bringing in the bucks from their comic brands. I don't know if they even stop the comics. Would anyone care? Like from a movie point of view, where all the like huge money is, does it really matter anymore? Nick isn't here, so I can say that. Things I can say when certain cast members are gone.
Well, I think that there's a difference though between like not selling a lot of comics and really not selling a lot of comics, and so that's there's a few thousand committed people that are still buying the Transformers books, but that's about it, But I don't know when your numbers are like 6,000 to 8,000, like it's not a lot. So.
In other media, we got a new cartoon this year, Kingdom. Ooh. It sure happened. On the plus side, it's done with. So
and people talked about it, so maybe just like Kingdom and the War for Cybertron trilogy were a step up from the Prime Wars trilogy. Hopefully, whatever comes next in the Netflix canon verse will be a step up, and things will continue to improve.
I'm really curious. It's funny because the Transformers cartoon, like I don't know, for us, like it was really boring and whatnot. But then side by side, like we've had this He-Man cartoon that has come out, and so many people like He-Man fans that would be people like us, but for He-Man just like absolutely hated it. And so I'm curious if they had like that if they did for Transformers, whether they did for He-Man, how we would feel about it.
I'm a He-Man fan. I was a He-Man fan first, but I was 3. Every episode of the animation is beautiful. The voice acting is beautiful. Everything looks really good, and it seems to be made with love and care and attention. It is not in the Filmation universe. Kevin Smith fucking lied, which is fine. He's a marketing dude. And every episode is just like this overwrought, grim, gritty, dramatic with nonsense characters, like just throwing themselves in the line of fire for dumb reasons, just so that everyone can have the moment where we pine for the loss of the character, whatever. We're all agonizing and.
Sounds like you're talking about the Netflix Transformers show.
Yeah, I would say they're not too dissimilar, honestly, in there.
But the He-Man one's way prettier. It's.
I've had 2 or 3 like, normies talk about the He-Man cartoon and be like, "Hey, did you catch it?" They're like, "That was pretty cool." People in our age group, that just turn it on. I still haven't watched it, and I probably won't.
But
it had to be a resounding success, honestly, for me to spend time on it. But
I almost feel like that's the case with like almost everything that has been released, where the people that are the hardcore fans have a hard time moving on to something, different and whatnot. And the people, like someone who is just a casual fan that's like, "Oh, He-Man, like I remember that as a kid and whatnot, like let's go check it out," and you don't remember anything from it. Yeah. Like those people, typically really like it. I mean, same thing with the Transformers movies too. Like there's a lot of normies or whatnot that really like those movies. And
for the movies,
we always shit on them.
For the movies, yes, but I never had anyone reach out to me about the Netflix cartoons.
I make the joke on all of you guys. I say it all the time. Well, so and so is not a Transformers fan, and you don't even like Transformers and things like that. I have been accused of, do you even like Transformers? Because every time we try and bring up Transformers with you, you say it sucks. This sucks, or that sucks, or you hate this, or everything's fine except for that.
You're in too deep.
Suck. The movies suck. The cartoons suck. Half these toys suck. But you we see your desk. We see, like, I've taken over the back of the server room. It's nothing but boxes of third-party shit that I have to go through. It's a mess. I have contractors coming in to do installs for circuits or whatever, and it's just like, what's all this? Hey, you like Transformers? No. Yeah, like you said, I'm in too deep. I'm too close to it and everything. I'm too, yeah.
And I think part of that, though, comes from when you and Nick and probably Rick as well, like, your first priority is buy and consume everything. And then secondary is, do I like this? Whereas I used to be that way, and to some degree, I was never at that level. I actually enjoy the hobby a ton now because I pretty much only interact with positive things. The only negative thing I've interacted with was the Netflix show, which wasn't miserable. It was just boring. Right. Like ultimately, like it was fine. It wasn't as bad as like when I made myself suffer through RID 2000. Fucking hated that thing.
I feel like a lot of this is also a case of old man Simmons, as we talked about before. It's like, what could they do? Because like, again, before, like we've had comics that have wowed us. Like we've had other, shows that have come out. Like a lot of people really love, Transformers Animated or Transformers Prime or whatever it may be, where it was like a fresh take and whatnot, just depending on the person. And, they're like, "Oh, this is really neat. This is kind of like the new thing and whatnot." Like, what can they do now to kind of up the game? And it's difficult.
It is. And they're trying to straddle the line where they want to keep old man us's happy. And we're not going to be happy no matter what. We're going to find something to pick apart. And then bring in new fans and, bring in kids and drive those toy sales to all of us. Right. So, do we make it kiddie? Do we make it gritty? Do we make it? How do we do what we're trying to do, which is make money?
See, I think you're asking all the wrong questions. Like you're asking the questions that they ask for what it's worth, but that's not how I think you get like big, successful, energetic properties that stand the test of time. You get people that are passionate about what they're doing. Get people to create that want to create, to create things they want to create. Like you can find old Transformer comics. And like old, like people used to make fanzines, fan magazines and do them, where James Robert wrote in because he loved Transformers, and he wrote, was it the Eugenesis? Is that what it is?
Genesis. Yep. I have some of the fanzines from the UK, from the TF Muck and all that stuff. It exists. Yeah.
Those were great because that dude loves Transformers as much as we do. Why was animated great? Because Derek Wyatt loves Transformers as much as we do. He was a fan first and loved the property and made something that he loved and loved to be a part of. And that doesn't mean that everybody involved with the stuff coming out today is like hates it, but it's obviously much more of a, it's a job. And when you mix, money and work, it's hard to keep that passion and creativity there. And that doesn't mean like just because you get somebody that's passionate, maybe their idea may still fall flat. But I think that's the only way you're going to get stuff that have other people love it is if you really love what you're doing.
It's not the only way though. Sometimes magic just happens. I was watching Toy Galaxy. You guys ever watch that YouTube channel?
Dan Larson, man, that's my
yeah. That guy's great. And I happened to watch the video he did recently on the Transformers the movie, and he made this really funny kind of like astute observation. He's like, no one wrote this movie. It was so many things put together, and it was so much corporate influence because it was so expensive, and they were launching a brand. You know, the movie started with the launch of the brand, like when they started creating it. And he's like, just when he said that, I was like, I guess that kind of makes sense. You know, there's been so many script rewrites and stuff. Like, that was a corporate collaboration flick, but it worked. And I think sometimes too many hands in the pot gets so crazy that you get magic out of it, but not very often. It's like
generally that design by committee boils it down to something very milquetoast.
I think a lot of it had to probably do with the Japanese influence. You know, like they didn't really know what anime was. So they're like, well, you guys, okay, here's some stuff, you guys go with it. And the animators were just so amazing that it turned out awesome. But it's just a small counterpoint to what you're saying. I do agree with you in the general gist.
There's definitely exceptions, right. You know, like, and obviously like the toys alone is what made Transformers blow up. That's why it died very quickly after the movie. Anyways, you know, the toys had a big change. They killed off Optimus Prime. You know, whoops, we shouldn't have done that.
You could,
like Haggard.
I mean, yeah, the toys did it, but I don't know. I think Flora O'Deary was just as important in bringing some of that stuff to actual life, you know, beyond the actual physical thing, you know, for turning that toy into Optimus Prime, you know, as we know and love it.
I don't have anything against Floridera other than I heard he's like kind of insane as a person.
He is.
But, you know, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's why he's great.
I mean, like I can't separate like, you know, the Diaclone designs versus the Floridera designs. Like it all runs together in my head. I mean, I know where they are, right? But, you know, it's all one package to me. But obviously something happened to consumers as a whole. But
hey,
was there any...
I have something that didn't happen in 2021. Did Optimus Prime die at all? He didn't die in Cyberverse. I wish he had died in the comic book.
I consumed no other media, so he died. Didn't he die like 5 times in Kingdom? And he just was fine every time.
No, I mean he was still in the middle of a sentence as he died each time. So it was like, so he just
he went to a coma and then wakes up and finishes
the
his
universe,
sentence.
didn't he? So
but he took everybody with him to the Dead Universe to have a conversation with frozen Skylinks.
So yeah, there he died. That's close enough.
But being in the Dead Universe, is that dead? Or is that just I'm hanging out here for a minute for a plot point so we can have Nemesis fight or whatever?
All those things are the same.
Right.
Okay.
Dying and going to the Dead Universe and MacGuffin / plot points, all the same. So I'm going to move us on to my next thing on here. I know I've took over the episode. Sorry.
I appreciate you doing this, Rob.
The best thing this year, hands down, I'll fucking fight you all on it, but I'm not going to have to because you're going to agree. TFCon happened. We all got to get together. We all got to see each other. It'd been 2 years. Thank God it happened before Omicron started spreading, which is now the most contagious version, way more contagious than Delta by all initial studies. They're still looking at it, but it's appearing that way. So happy that it got to happen. It was definitely the highlight of my year because the rest of my year was a trash fire. I know I'm not the only one. But so, yeah, that was great.
I got to smell you guys and hold you close. Like everyone on the cast just about, I got to like squeeze you and it was fantastic.
You definitely smelt my farts at night, whether or not you were conscious for them.
I felt the bed move. And I heard that one time when I got out of the bed and I'd been out of the bed like all of 2 seconds and you like unleashed what you had been holding. Pretty great.
Hey, at least I held it. I was doing my best. My wife doesn't get that courtesy. You know, we're past that point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a great time. I was so glad we all got to get together.
Yeah, that was special. Spent a lot of balcony time with a few of you. It was fun.
Yeah. I just wish I wish I was younger so I could stay up later. Although honestly, I stayed up late.
Dude, what are you
For me,
talking about?
every
You guys
night.
stayed
Yeah, what
up
do you-
really late.
Like 4:30 on one of those nights.
Yeah. But it wasn't enough. You know, it's never enough. What are you doing, cat? Don't eat the cord, cat. I don't know,
We met Catherine. We met our first fan, or listener, let's say. I don't know if fan is the right word, especially after meeting us.
I mean, I've met
we ran into some others,
before
but Catherine actually
at other
still hang out with us.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I don't think that I've had listeners that have hung out with us previously. So
it was very cool.
So
best thing this year. I hope Chicago next year can happen again. You know, we'll see what. I mean, pretty much everyone's calling it at this point. You know, it's just coronavirus is going to be a thing that everybody lives with. You know, hopefully people get their boosters or whatever, and those that don't, they don't, and there's just nothing we can do about it. The world turns. So.
But yeah, no, it was definitely nice to have a convention to go to. So that was definitely nice.
It was definitely needed. Baltimore's too far, though. Too far.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a drive.
I think the only thing we haven't touched on that was on my list, at least, was third party. We've mostly keeping it official. The issue I have with talking about third party is kind of what we started it off with is I don't remember what came out this year and what didn't. I feel like a whole lot didn't come out with third party this year. Like, I'm not saying nothing came out. Like, did we finish the DJG this year? I can't remember if that was this year or last year.
I think it was last year.
I think it was this year. I want to say it was this year. I think the last one shipped in like January or something. Or I got mine in January and it shipped.
I have to go back and look.
Exactly.
I'm sure we had a show on it where we were like, this is the coolest thing we got, and this is the best way to cap out the year. And,
yeah. I think MMC is probably, as we've talked about multiple times, is winding down the IDW line. Planet X is still going with it. Although I don't know if anything else is announced. But so I don't know, that line might be ending, and that's been going for a long time. So that would be sad. That could be the last release. I hope it's not, but if it is, it is.
No, I mean, I think they're gonna release. Catherine said Eris came out, and they had a limited release, and I believe they're gonna do a mainline release. At least that's what they said. A slight redeco, of it. So,
Fans Toys had a. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I hope the reformatted line continues. And I mean, IDW, we're already one full continuity past where they're working off of design-wise. And I'm going to miss it if it ends. But I'm glad we got what we got. And Ocular Max is still going strong for the MMC brand. So we've got that going for us. Really good stuff coming out there.
It'd be a sad to wave goodbye, but it's also had a very good run. It's not like they did 2 or 3 figures and petered out. I feel like they've definitely done what they could. Hey, I don't get mad when people say, "Oh, you robbed a store," which would mean crop dusting. But robbed a store, get it?
Oh no, I get it.
Paul didn't get it. He looked confused.
I feel like, as Ron says, for third party, I feel like it was more like the year of the pre-order than it was the year of stuff actually coming out.
I have numbers.
Hashtag Fans Toys. Hey, robbing Peter to pay Paul.
If only there was Lucas in that, we would have been set.
That's what Lucasfilm does.
Not to leave.
What about that? MP52 came out this year, and so did the "oh shit, let's get this out" because Takara's releasing it Starscream as well.
Ooh.
Deformation Space.
Yeah.
Which we're pretty sure is Transform Element, I think. But yeah, don't quote me, but I think that's what the rumor is.
I saw that on a board somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, that was also
must be true.
I mean, we're talking third party, which is mostly Masterpiece these days. You know, a good bit of Legend still, but I thought Starscream was awesome. I know Paul feels the same. I have Thundercracker over here that I got from Paul. Thank you. I haven't played with it yet, but you know, it's the same toy. I thought that was pretty great.
I got the other one too, the third party one, because I just needed to know. I just needed to see, you know. And I have all the other third party ones, so I was like, I'll try it. And
did you buy the kit for the kit?
I don't really do. No, I don't. I typically don't do upgrade extra stuff.
Yeah, so Hasbro, they came out with that. I think we know Cliff Jumper's coming up because that's leaked, but you know that hasn't been announced or anything. And I don't think we have anything Beast Wars coming out, do we? I mean, I know there's a repaint of RC as Nightbird coming out, but like I don't know if we know any other new molds waiting in the winds. It's all remolds or repaint.
Shuki.
Oh yeah,
Shuki.
that was announced.
It was announced. They showed the proto skids and reboost dropped this month.
Yeah. I was going to talk about them briefly too. I know a lot of people like skids / reboost. It is definitely a bit of a throwback. I like the figure. It's not bad by any means, but it is not modern day Masterpiece. You know, for better and worse. Like on the better, and that the transformation is really simple. And it's a fun toy to transform, and I think, you know, that's good. That's great. You know, but I do like paint, and the car is painted, but the rest of it, you know, there's some accents and stuff and whatnot, which a lot of people like that. You know, just talking about my taste. I think if you're gonna do a throwback, Skids is a great place to do it because he's barely in the cartoon, which is why I bought Reboost, and I'll keep X Transbots for my Skids. You know, everybody wins. But you know, Fans Toys put out some mini bots this year, and we got Soundwave, and I actually really like the Soundwave. I think he is cool and good and cool. The biggest disappointment of the year is Fans Toys still hasn't figured out how they're going to do combiners. I think that is a mess.
Not a word, not a peep.
Nothing. Just mum's the word. Sorry,
I feel like Fans Toys in general, like the mini bots, I don't know that they like went over that well. Like, I mean, it seemed like they were fine, but I kind of feel like some of the people are a little meh on the releases. You know, just compared to some of the other releases they've had in the past, and even that Soundwave.
I would agree with you. Like you can actually still buy the mini bots sometimes, and I don't, you know, you get into that case of, well, did they produce a lot more, or was it less popular, or was it both? With a lot of the mini bots too, there were already stand-ins for, like, there's already been multiple sea sprays. You know, there's already was a Bad Cube Brawn. There was already X Transbots Beachcomber. You know, so a lot of these have had stand-ins that aren't bad. You know, the Fans Toys definitely brings it more in line with modern day, but a lot of people also didn't feel that need to upgrade or to swap out. So, you know, at the end of the day, it definitely felt less like people were excited or interested for whatever reason. But the craziest thing for third party this year was X Transbots. What the hell is Keith thinking? I made a list earlier this year because, I don't know, I took 10, 15 minutes and I was curious. I went on Show Z and looked at the stuff that was listed and when their estimated, you know, releasing dates were, and knowing that all that stuff is just made up or whatever, right? For 2021, there were 3, like, either, you know, reissues, remolds, or repaints, and 6 new things coming out, or, you know, potentially 7 that were supposed to come out in 2021. I think 1 or 2 of those came out from this list when I made it. And then for 2022, 25 either reissues, remold, or repaints, and 13 brand new sculpts. Like, I bet they put out maybe 6 figures. You know, like, if things are going good. The only thing that people that follow, you know, that buy Keith's work is the last time they did a wave of Junkions, they actually did like 5 or 6 at once. It actually happened. So he's shown that he can do like a batch of repaint, and those are all remolds too. They all have like little unique parts with them, even though the base is the same. That he can do it when it's the same mold, and he can get a lot out. So maybe some of that will happen. But I don't know. That's just as far as if you're into third party masterpiece, keeping up with what X Transbots was announcing, even if you're not buying it all, was a rough year. He repainted everything into everything, and there are listings up for everything, and all of it's supposed to come out by the end of 2022. Like, come on, bro. It's so not gonna happen.
That's straight out of the Fans Toys playbook, though. You know,
this is beyond the Fans Toys.
5 years ago, Fans Toys playbook, where they were like, they would catch a whiff that some other company was doing some other thing, and they're like, "We're doing it. Here's a render. We're doing it. Here's a render." I mean, I get that he put a lot of stuff on the back burner because of the Fans Toys playbook, but yeah, there's no way all that's getting released. I'll be happy with the things that do see release, though, if as long as the quality isn't lock levels of needing to be redone.
V2 quality wise, I have found to be solid. There's like one plastic piece in here that kind of comes off and needs to be reglued, but it's like it's harmless. It's nothing's falling apart. You just push it back in, and if I realized my super glue had ran out, or else I would have already fixed it myself.
Right, but then Lock V2 is a completely different beast from Lock V1.
It's like the same toy, but yeah, apparently it's just a lot better. It doesn't fall apart in your hands.
Well, I mean, Ollie V2 is pretty much the same toy as Ollie V1.
Yes, exactly.
And I bought Ollie V1.
Yeah.
And Ollie V2.
Yeah.
Did you buy Ollie V3?
No.
Gotta catch them all.
Like most of the stuff he announced though isn't a response to Fans Toys for once. Which, again, if you're in the G1 MP space, like a lot of exciting stuff is there, like Punch Counterpunch, the Omnibots, Deathsaurus. I'm definitely looking forward to their Deathsaurus. That's so cool. Genrai. Like, those are all like top of my list. That stuff comes out, I'm going to be super happy when it comes out. I just, cross our fingers on the quality, and even more so the engineering, that it's not nightmares. So I don't know anymore with Key stuff. It's all over the map. Some of it's great, some of it's terrible. And again, another 6 Junkions coming out. They're doing new 2.0 versions of Ramhorn, Steeljaw. For some reason, going ahead with their Inferno Grapple and Artfire, and a few other repaints of it too, like a Hauler. And then like the Omnibots repainted into a bunch of stuff, repaints of their Cliff Jumper into various colors, just, finishing out their Defensor. I don't know, man. This list is insane. I don't know when this stuff will come out, but I don't know. And then the death of DX9 this year.
An actual announcement for the death.
That was a kind of a bitter employee that had access to the social media, wasn't it? Kind of sort. I mean, maybe he did run it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like one of their artists. I don't know that. We've had plenty of third parties come and go. Usually they just kind of fade into obscurity, like Make Toys, or Fans Project. It just doesn't put anything out anymore.
Well, I don't know. I almost feel like Bad Cube was kind of did that, where they just went away. I don't know. Make Toys, I feel like they're always like, they're back, like, and then they're release like along. One thing. Yeah, it's like they release one thing once a year.
It feels like even if Make Toys isn't dead, they might as well be, like, they're not who they were beforehand. The Make Toys we think of is dead. I don't know what this new thing is that does a repaint that doesn't come out that great every now and again.
Right.
Yeah. The pool shrunk a little bit more. I don't know if no one else has jumped in to grab the G1 MP spot. Obviously, the only chug contenders are really MMC and Planet X, and who knows. And they really were just doing IDW and like the video games from a decade ago or whatever. So those are kind of dried up
at this point.
Yeah, and so then you got Legends, which I'm not qualified to talk about.
But yeah, I wonder if maybe that's part of the reason why X-Transbots went ahead and announced all those pre-orders. Because, like, they used to be the thing. Like, third party used to do that all the time, and then they quit, doing all these, like, pre-orders would be, like, 2 years, 3 years out or whatnot. They would be like, oh, hey, look, we're shipping this. Like, kind of like here's the thing almost nowadays. And so I just wonder if maybe X-Transbots, now that there isn't the same level of competition that there used to be, it's like just them and Fans Toys essentially, that they're like, oh hey, like here we go, we're gonna plant our flag at these things.
So I have some inside baseball on that, and I think it's okay to say this because it's not like that or whatever. But when Keith kept getting undercut by Fans Toys, hey, we're working on this, and then Fans Toys does this or whatever to try to stomp on him, like we were mentioning earlier. He started playing everything close to the chest, and he quit announcing stuff until he had like a bunch to announce to where he knew they couldn't react to literally everything he was announcing at once. Like their Perceptor has been done for a long time, like for quite a while, and a lot of the Defensor has been going on for a long time before he announced any of it. And Streetwise came out pretty close to the announcement, all in as far as third party metrics go, right? Like they've already got 2 pieces out.
Right.
So like it's been kind of a long game of his to announce a bunch of stuff. And not only did he do that, I think he needed a little more cash flow because he's doing some thing like, I'm like, cool punch counter punch, cool Omnibots. How many people care about Masterpiece Omnibots? Not a lot. Like me, Peter, sure, but not a lot. And I think
just
yeah. A lot of the repaints came about because like these aren't selling as well for the first run, but I can make more money by doing some more repaints that if he owns his own factories, doesn't have to do a big run of them, and like he did with the Junkions last year, he can apparently somehow do a bunch of similar things at once. And so I think that's the reason why it got so excessive is he's counting for, hey, I'm doing unpopular stuff now, but I still want to do it. So, whereas
I don't know,
TFC,
somehow he threw out that Dr. Egg.
Dr. Egg is so cool. It is the dumbest thing, and I love it. It is so good. It is way overpriced. It is excess to the excess. It is great. I do love that thing. It is so dumb, and it's janky as fuck, but it is so cool, and I'm looking forward to the next one. So it's totally overpriced, though. No one should buy it, but it's great.
Did you get that, Peter? I think Rob might be the only one that got it.
I think Rob is the only one that got it.
Yeah. And I'm getting the next one, whatever the squiggly arm guy, which has also, like, they've had a lot of that done for a long time. I don't, it's just having trouble getting it over, I guess, and wrapping it up.
Yeah.
But, like, if y'all remember back when TFC used to be a company, like, their stuff, and I think they might be the Chang Toys now or whatever, or the guy doing that Predaking, that their stuff always felt like pretty dispassionate. Like it was just, people, doing their job. I feel at least that Keith, like, actually is a fan and wants to see this stuff made and is in a position to make them happen. So he's making them happen. That doesn't mean I like all of his business decisions by any means or whatever, but it does feel like somebody that, he's like, I want to do a Deserus and I want to do a Defensor and I want to do fucking Omnibots. So I'm going to do them. And, I need to make more money. Well, let me do some repaints of this stuff just to try to, get some more money and have to boost the sales so that these can happen. So that's my guess. That's kind of like the rough picture. I've never talked to Keith. I never will.
I always feel like, yeah, and you're right about that. And I feel like MMC is kind of a, similar thing where it seems like they're fans and just trying to put stuff out because they want that in their collections. But I always felt like Fans Toys it always feels like a business decision to me with what they do.
Same. They're one that, like, TFC felt so business that their stuff was dispassionate. I think Fans Toys is more of kind of that exception with, like, we're doing this as a business, blah, 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 but somehow they managed to keep their stuff feeling really nice and really good.
No,
and stuff
all
to be
the stuff
excited
is really nice. Like, they're like, we just want to make the nicest, whatever, X figure.
Yeah.
So,
that's it for my list of 2021.
Forgot Robo-Sen, Optimus Prime.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Like I said, it was into my list. Robo-Sen was pretty huge. That's another one that I had normies messaging me about. And then when they're like, did you get this? And I'm like, no. And they're like, I thought you were a Transformer fan. I don't need a fucking $700 thing. I don't have anywhere for it. Fuck off.
Well, see, that was an example of what I was talking about earlier. Where like, check out this crazy thing. You've never seen this before. Holy shit! You can buy it right now, and it's $1 million, and you won't think about it, and it's sold out that day, hour.
And they came back with more, but
Yeah,
they still
and then
kept selling out, didn't they?
Yeah, it's gonzo. That thing is like aftermarket only.
The thing that I think is somewhat amazing with that is it like this new random company. Well, I mean, they've made other stuff like non-Transformers and whatnot. But I mean, they really pulled it off. Like, I mean, everyone I feel like has interacted with that thing has been impressed, with it. So
I'm never opening it.
Why?
I opened mine. It's it's fun. I do think the luster wears off pretty quick. I'm not a child though. Like a child, there's gonna be some kids that like this is the greatest toy they've ever had, and they like treat it like their friend, for years.
Who the hell gets a $700 toy like that as a kid? Fucking Richie Rich over here. Getting some shit like that. If you're getting toys like that, you're getting so much stuff every 5 seconds.
But because
you're a rich, spoiled little asshole that you're already bored of it.
That was part of the reason I didn't get the figure myself is because, I have a couple of those Sphero droids from Star Wars, right? Like the BB-8 and little R2-D2 and whatnot. And it was the same thing with those. Like, they're real cool. Like, it's a fun party trick. And then it's like, after, a month or whatever, you're like, oh, okay, I'm good. I don't need to mess with it anymore.
Yeah, there might be some cool things to do with it with the programmable side that like just hasn't necessarily been tapped, or there hasn't been a viral video of someone getting it to do something kind of wild yet. But I think I think that thing has kind of a lifespan though. Like I don't think like I'd be scared to actually use it to its full extent because it probably is going to break down in like a month if you mess with it every day, because it's just so intricate.
Just like the gears and the electronics and just all the moving parts. And
yeah, I can't tell if like those things will go, if like in 5 years people will just be throwing them out, or if they will skyrocket in value. I don't know. I can't. It's hard to say.
Do we have? I mean, I guess the closest thing would be like Lucas was saying, like those Sphero droids or whatever. Are those things still working? I don't know.
I'll try. I can charge mine up and see if they still work.
Well, it could be one of those things where, like, if you have oh my god, you have a working RoboSen Optimus Prime from Hasbro. Like that could be one of those things that is kind of a sought after thing. It could also be like the same thing, and everyone laughs at you at the end of saying that. You're the dumbass that has that. I don't know.
Omega Supreme still works. Rare at L at K.
I guess it'll really depend if like they make more of those.
Right. If
they make the scrapper and they make if every year they release a new RoboSen transforming toy, like once two's a couple, three's a crowd, four is a fucking toy line. So then you have collectors needing to go back and get the first ones, and that's the way it goes.
Well, that's like those Hallmark ornaments is kind of like that, where the Optimus Prime was the first one released, and
it was a one-off, and then
pretty expensive.
Yeah, I wish I would have jumped on those. I just kind of like skipped it. I think I have the Starscream one in the box, but I really wanted that Shockwave, and I don't know. I'm not going to a Hallmark store.
Man has limits.
I have limits, yes.
Yeah. You're like, I'll go circle every Target in town, but Hallmark.
Big Lots are bust.
There you go.
I think.
Can you access the batteries, Paul, from that RoboSen? Like, can you take it out for storage, or is it just integrated?
Dude, I don't know. I mean, it's a USB charger thing, so I don't know. I think it's pretty much integrated.
So it's going to be some sort of lithium battery that is going to die at some point. Just cross your fingers that it doesn't expand.
Yeah.
Because if it does that, then it's gonna break your toy, like straight up break, instead of not just doesn't work anymore. It's gonna be like, oh no, it actually the leg popped apart or whatever, wherever that battery's stored.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard of anyone programming the Robosen to do something different. So I don't know. I'm sure there's a thread somewhere on TFW though. But
I suspect what we would see next from that, if anything, is a repaint. You know, the same, but like
Nemesis
Shattered
Prime.
Glass, Robosen, or Nemesis.
Nemesis Prime. And it's mean, and it's like, kill Optimus Prime.
Give me your face. Oh wait, sorry, you said the bad one. I forgot. That's the hero line. Is give me your face. My bad.
Right. Who's the guy that? Who's the guy that has the really deep voice? The never mind. Forget it. I was gonna say who should voice Nemesis Prime, but it's the dude that's supposed to voice Tarn. In I just can't think of his name. Forget it. Sorry, I'm wasting air.
Anyway.
All right, thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Any other news that we forgot, Paul?
Oh, I think I was pretty thorough. It's so hard, especially in this COVID world, to even remember to put these arbitrary stops, on the year. Like, I can't believe some of the things you mentioned happened this year.
It's too bad. If only we had like a regular news program that went over all these types of things and kind of covered the news. That would be really
sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, it would be a lot of work though.
Yeah, that Mr. Starscream guy used to do that, but you chased him off.
So...
You started sending him love letters. He told me about it. He didn't like that.
They were love letters because they definitely weren't emails. Did not get any emails.
Got to stop using Evangelion music. That guy.
Yeah, he was a weirdo.
Book club this week is going to be the holiday special. So that's going to be this weekend. Will be the holiday special, and then next week we'll cover Hearts of Steel. So there you go. So that should be fun. That is the book club on the TF Talk Discord. That's Sunday nights at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central.
Keith David. That's the name I couldn't remember. Keith David.
Oh, was that the Gargoyles guy?
Yeah, he's got that. He could be Nemesis Prime.
There you go.
Like, parting thoughts. Like, 2020 was actually a big year. Like, for Unicron, Robosen, those are huge things that happened. Said the Studio Series 86 is like a big thing that people have wanted for a long time.
We got the arc.
The art
I
came.
forgot to mention the art too. And it's been deeply discounted. So the return of discounted Titan figures. So there we go.
Has it?
I mean, it's not a great toy, but whatever.
Yeah, I ended up, once I saw it in person, I passed on it. Or not in person, but I really wanted to like that. But,
yeah.
I mean, it was still a big year from the official front. We had a convention again. X-Transbots made a lot of exciting announcements. Takara has made. I mean, I don't know. We got a couple of cool masterpiece toys, but we don't know where it's going. So it's been a big year. But
did the Transformers movie was that announced this year or was that prior year?
They filmed it this year,
and then they delayed it this year.
Right. Yeah,
I
know it got delayed this year. So, but yeah, like. For the fact that there hasn't been a Transformers movie now for, several years, like, they've actually had quite a bit happen this year. Like you said, I mean, even with the media, like, we've had the Cyberverse cartoon, the Netflix cartoon, so.
Bumblebee Girls in Hawkeye.
Haley. It's also Spider-Gwen. She's in everything.
She's blowing up.
Yeah. I really wish that with the delay of this movie, it'll be like 7 years from the Bumblebee movie, something crazy. Like enough time has passed where they could have been like, you know what? I think people kind of forgot about this. Let's redo it. Let's start over. Let's pretend that stuff didn't happen and do it over. But no, Michael Bay's in Peru.
We all got a sad.
Is there more NPM figures coming out?
Yes.
I always forget.
They haven't announced any yet, but yes.
Oh, okay. When did the last one come out? I can't even remember. I like
this year. Target.
Yeah.
This year, Target. It was Optimus Prime, which I think is a great toy.
Oh, that one actually did pretty well. I feel like, I feel like it's
the kitty cat
ears.
ears.
Yes. It has cat ears, which is
the first
totally
one
dumb.
that hasn't been discounted. Like all the other ones, I feel like went on deep discount at Target.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Speaking for my local Target, they put them out and then immediately discounted them. They didn't sit or languish or anything. They changed the planogram, put them out, and then boop, 10% off, 25% off. And people are playing the game. Yeah, I don't know, lame.
Yeah.
This means keep your receipts if you buy it from Target.
Yeah.
I wish I'd kept my receipt for Starscream, Master NPM Starscream.
Ooh. I returned some of those multiple times.
And that thing kept plummeting. And it's a good figure. That's what I thought it was. It was good. I like it.
Yeah, it's awesome. The toy is awesome. Just some of those movie toys come out and they're amazing, but it's just next thing is there the moment after you transform it, and you're like, cool.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. Well, yeah,
Look at the new red figure.
It's been a year though, so there you go. Hopefully, we have some good stuff going on in 2022.
See you for the next variant.
So, all right. So we'll see you guys, and then next week we'll do our top figures of the year, and then we'll get into Christmas and whatnot. So. But we'll be doing microcasters. Will be on Thursday night. So,
Cuckoo.
All right. Well, thanks everyone, and we'll see you next week.